There's a woman walking down the street right now, somewhere in this world, and everyone who passes her feels something they can't quite name. She's not necessarily the most beautiful woman you've ever seen. She's not wearing the most expensive clothes, and she's not trying to catch anyone's attention. Yet, there's something about her that makes people turn their heads, not in lustful admiration, but in genuine respect and curiosity. What is it about her that draws people like a magnet draws iron filings? The answer lies not in what she possesses, but in what she has become. And tonight, we're going to explore the 6 habits that transform an ordinary woman into someone absolutely irresistible, not because of what she can get from others, but because of what she gives to the world simply by being who she is. You see, there's a fundamental misunderstanding in our world about what makes someone truly attractive. We've been taught that attraction is about appearance, about charm, about saying the right things at the right time. But the women who leave lasting impressions, the ones people remember years later, the ones who change rooms simply by entering them, they understand something deeper. They know that true magnetism comes from the inside out, and it's built habit by habit, choice by choice, day after day. The first habit that makes a mature woman irresistible is something so simple yet so rare that when you encounter it, you know immediately you're in the presence of someone special. It's the habit of authentic self-acknowledge. This isn't the superficial knowing of preferences and dislikes. This is the profound understanding of one's own heart, mind, and spirit. Think about the women in your life who have impressed you most. Was it because they could tell you everything about the latest fashions or gossip? Or was it because when you spoke with them, you felt like they truly understood not just your words, but the person behind them? The mature woman who practices authentic self-acknowledge has done the difficult work of looking honestly at herself. She knows her strengths without arrogance and acknowledges her weaknesses without shame. This self-acknowledge creates something magical. When you truly know yourself, you stop pretending to be someone you're not. You stop exhausting yourself trying to meet everyone else's expectations. Instead, you begin to move through the world with a quiet confidence that comes from being genuinely comfortable in your own skin. People can sense this authenticity from across a room. It's like a fragrance that can't be bought in any store. But here's what makes this habit so transformative. When a woman knows herself deeply, she stops being reactive to the opinions and moods of others. She doesn't need constant validation because she has learned to validate herself. She doesn't crumble at criticism because she has already acknowledged her areas for growth. She doesn't become prideful at compliments because she knows her worth isn't dependent on others' words. This creates an extraordinary magnetism because most people are drowning in insecurity and self-doubt. When they encounter someone who has found peace with who she is, it's like finding an oasis in a desert. They're drawn to that stability, that groundedness, that quiet strength that says, I know who I am, I accept who I am, and I'm continuously becoming who I'm meant to be. Ask yourself right now, do you truly know yourself? Not the version of yourself you present to the world, not the version you think you should be, but the real you. Do you know what makes your heart sing? Do you understand your deepest fears? Have you made peace with your past mistakes? Can you name your greatest gifts without feeling like you're bragging? The woman who has cultivated authentic self-knowledge carries herself differently. She speaks with conviction because she knows her own mind. She listens deeply because she's not constantly worried about how she's being perceived. She makes decisions from her core values rather than from fear or the need to please others. This creates an irresistible aura of authenticity that people hunger for in our world of pretense and performance. Self-acknowledge alone isn't enough. The second habit that makes a mature woman absolutely magnetic is emotional mastery. Now, let me be clear about what I mean by this, because it's not what most people think. Emotional mastery doesn't mean becoming cold or unfeeling. It doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or pretending you don't have them. True emotional mastery means becoming the master of your emotions rather than their slave. There's a woman I want you to think about. She's in a heated discussion at work and someone says something that could easily trigger anger or hurt feelings. Instead of reacting immediately, she takes a moment. You can see her processing what was said, considering the other person's perspective, and then responding from a place of wisdom rather than wounded emotion. She doesn't explode in anger, but neither does she become a doormat. She responds with strength and grace, addressing the issue without attacking the person. This is emotional mastery in action, and it's absolutely irresistible because it's so rare. Most people are controlled by their emotions. They say things they regret, make decisions based on temporary feelings, and create unnecessary drama because they haven't learned to pause between stimulus and response. But the emotionally mature woman has created space between what happens to her and how she chooses to respond. Think about the relationships in your life. Who do you trust most deeply? Is it the person who explodes at every inconvenience, who takes everything personally, who makes every conversation about their own emotional state? Or is it the person who remains steady in storms, who can discuss difficult topics without becoming defensive, who can acknowledge their own emotions without being overwhelmed by them? Emotional mastery creates trust. When people know that you won't fall apart at the first sign of conflict, that you won't make them responsible for managing your emotions, that you can handle difficult conversations with grace, they're naturally drawn to you. You become a safe harbor in a world full of emotional storms. But here's the deeper truth about emotional mastery. It's not about becoming invulnerable. It's about becoming genuinely strong. The emotionally mature woman feels deeply, loves fully, and experiences the full spectrum of human emotion. But she doesn't let those emotions make her decisions for her. She honors her feelings without being enslaved by them. This creates an incredible magnetism because it allows her to be fully present with others. When someone is sharing their struggles with her, she's not thinking about how their problems affect her or how she can fix them. She can simply be there, fully engaged, offering the gift of her presence without being pulled into emotional chaos. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to absorb the energy of everyone around them? They walk into a room and immediately take on the stress, anxiety, or drama of others. They mean well, but they become emotional sponges, soaking up feelings that aren't even their own. The emotionally masterful woman has learned to maintain healthy boundaries. She can empathize without taking on others' emotions as her own. This emotional stability doesn't make her boring or detached. Instead, it makes her fascinating because she can engage fully without losing herself in the process. She can celebrate others' successes without jealousy, support them in failures without being pulled into despair, and love deeply without becoming possessive or needy. Ask yourself, are you the master of your emotions, or are they the master of you? When something doesn't go your way, do you respond, or do you react? Can you discuss difficult topics without becoming defensive? Do you take responsibility for your emotional state, or do you expect others to manage it for you? The third habit that creates irresistible magnetism in a mature woman is perhaps the most misunderstood quality in our world today: gracious strength. This isn't the kind of strength that comes from dominating others or proving you're tougher than everyone else. This is the strength that flows from deep inner conviction combined with genuine kindness toward others. There's a profound difference between a woman who is strong and a woman who is trying to prove her strength. The woman who possesses gracious strength doesn't need to announce her capabilities to the world. She doesn't need to diminish others to elevate herself. She doesn't need to win every argument or have the last word in every conversation. Her strength is so secure, so grounded, that she can afford to be gentle. Think about a tree that has weathered many storms. Its roots run deep, its trunk is solid, but its branches can sway with the wind without breaking. This is gracious strength in nature, and it's exactly what we see in the mature woman who has cultivated this habit. She stands firm in her principles, but remains flexible in her approach. She can be strong without being harsh, confident without being arrogant, decisive without being domineering. This quality creates an extraordinary magnetism because it offers something that everyone desperately needs but rarely finds: safety combined with strength. Most people encounter one or the other. They meet people who are safe but weak, who will agree with anything to avoid conflict, who offer comfort but no real guidance or stability. Or they meet people who are strong but harsh, who use their strength to intimidate or control, who may be capable but are not safe to be vulnerable with. The woman with gracious strength offers both. She creates an environment where others feel safe to be themselves, to make mistakes, to grow and change. Yet she also provides the strength and stability that people can lean on during difficult times. She's like a lighthouse, steady and strong, offering guidance without judgment, illuminating the path without forcing anyone to take it. But here's what makes this habit so transformative. Gracious strength requires incredible inner security. You cannot be gracious to others if you're constantly defending yourself. You cannot be strong in a healthy way if your strength comes from fear or insecurity. This habit demands that a woman do the deep inner work of understanding her own worth, her own capabilities, and her own limitations. The graciously strong woman can admit when she's wrong without losing face. She can apologize when she's hurt someone without feeling diminished. She can ask for help when she needs it without feeling weak. She can celebrate others' successes without feeling threatened. This level of inner security is absolutely magnetic because it's so rare. Consider how you feel around different types of people. How do you feel around someone who is always defensive, always ready to argue, always needing to be right? You probably feel tense, like you have to watch every word you say. Now think about how you feel around someone who is secure enough to listen, strong enough to stand by their values, but flexible enough to consider other perspectives, confident enough to admit their mistakes. You probably feel relaxed, understood, and inspired. The graciously strong woman has learned one of life's most important lessons. You don't have to be perfect to be valuable. You don't have to win every battle to be strong. You don't have to have all the answers to be wise. This understanding allows her to approach life with a humility that paradoxically makes her more powerful, not less. She can lead without dominating. She can teach without condescending. She can love without possessing. She can support without enabling. She can challenge without attacking. These seemingly contradictory abilities come from the deep well of gracious strength that she has cultivated over time. Ask yourself, do you feel the need to prove your strength to others? Or does your strength speak for itself? Can you be gentle without being weak? Can you be strong without being harsh? Do you create safety for others, or do they feel like they have to be careful around you? And on those notes, the fourth habit that transforms a mature woman into someone absolutely irresistible is the lost art of deep listening. Not the polite nodding while waiting for your turn to speak, not the superficial hearing of words while your mind races ahead to your response. I'm talking about the kind of listening that makes someone feel truly seen and understood, perhaps for the first time in their life. In our noisy world, everyone is talking, but few are truly listening. Most conversations have become competing monologues, where each person waits for a pause to insert their own story, their own opinion, their own experience. But the woman who has mastered deep listening has discovered something profound. In a world full of people desperate to be heard, the person who truly listens holds extraordinary power. Deep listening is more than just hearing words. It's about understanding the heart behind the words, the emotions underneath the surface, the real message that someone is trying to communicate. It requires setting aside your own agenda, your own need to be heard, your own opinions and judgments, and creating sacred space for another person's truth. Think about a conversation you've had where you felt completely understood. Not just heard, but truly understood. How did that feel? Didn't it feel like coming home? Didn't it feel like finding water after days in the desert? That's the gift that the deeply listening woman gives to everyone she encounters, and it creates a magnetism that goes beyond mere attraction. It creates genuine connection, the kind that people remember for years. But here's what makes this habit so transformative. Deep listening changes the listener as much as it impacts the person being heard. When you truly listen to someone, you learn something. You gain insight into human nature, into different perspectives, into the struggles and dreams that we all share. You become wiser, more compassionate, more understanding of the human condition. The woman who practices deep listening becomes a repository of human wisdom. She understands people in ways that surprise even herself. She can see through facades to the real person underneath. She can sense when someone is struggling, even when they're putting on a brave face. She knows when to speak and when to remain silent. This intuitive understanding of human nature makes her incredibly attractive because people feel safe with her. Deep listening also reveals something beautiful about human nature. Most people already know what they need to do. They don't need advice as much as they need someone to help them hear their own wisdom. The deeply listening woman becomes a mirror that reflects people back to themselves, helping them see their own strength, their own answers, their own path forward. But deep listening requires tremendous inner discipline. You must quiet the voice in your head that wants to interrupt, correct, advise, or relate everything back to your own experience. You must resist the urge to fix, rescue, or solve. You must be comfortable with silence, with not having all the answers, with simply being present with another person's experience without trying to change it. This creates an extraordinary magnetism because in our hurried world, presence is the rarest gift you can give someone. When you listen deeply, you're saying with your entire being, you matter. Your thoughts matter, your feelings matter. You are worth my complete attention. In a world where most people feel invisible, this kind of attention is irresistible. The deeply listening woman also becomes a safe place for truth. People tell her things they've never told anyone else because they sense that she won't judge, won't gossip, won't use their vulnerabilities against them. She becomes a confessor, a counselor, a trusted friend, not because she seeks these roles, but because her quality of listening naturally creates them. Consider your own listening habits. When someone is speaking to you, are you truly present, or is part of your mind elsewhere? Do you listen to understand, or do you listen to respond? Do you interrupt, or do you allow natural pauses? Do you ask questions that help the person explore their thoughts more deeply, or do you ask questions that satisfy your own curiosity? Do people seek you out when they're struggling, or do they avoid difficult conversations with you? When someone finishes talking to you, do they feel heard and understood, or do they feel like they just provided an audience for your own thoughts and opinions?